What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Coach Ben podcast on Jiu-Jitsu Magazine Podcast Network. I'm here with Jim. We have a normal episode today, hopefully.
Well, I know. Considering everything else that's happening, is we have wildfires raging just mere blocks away. But to call this normal under
I
all
hope
these
it's not
circumstances.
blocks, but maybe 20 blocks.
Yeah,
right?
it's
20 blocks up. 20 blocks up.
Yeah, 20 blocks up. So there
We
you
got
go.
wildfires. We're in Arcadia. Got the evac order, but we're pretty far.
Yeah, we're pretty far where we are in this area of Arcadia. Which brings us to, you had an outdoor workout session scheduled for last night. We brought it indoors.
Yep.
And it was a unique workout because in this episode, I'm like, Ben, let's talk about this because I feel there is value in it. And it was the whole idea of working out, or in your workout, the protocol that you had us on, you had us work out our feet.
The beginning of the workout.
beginning
yes,
of the
as a
feet.
warm-up. Yes.
Right. It was as the warm-up, and then you just kind of went into the importance of high-level performance, athletic performance, starting from the feet.
Yes.
And the why, the thrust, and all that. So
Right.
I wanted to talk about this because you even related it to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot to uncover here, and everybody listening, I just want to make it very clear that this is, for the most part, experimental for me, and the coach that I'm working with. You know what? I don't actually know the guy's name. His Instagram is Secrets of Athleticism, and we call him Silao Shi. It's he's a Chinese guy. It's like his name is like Sensei Shi is his name. Okay. And so basically I learned about this this kind of idea of training the feet through an MMA fighter. Her name is Zhang Wei Li. It's do you know who that is?
Oh,
Jim?
absolutely.
So she's the 125. I think that's the straw weight champion.
Yeah.
The women's straw weight champion.
Very powerful.
I follow her a lot. Of course, I'm Chinese. I'm always following Chinese athletes, and so after a while, I noticed that she was working on kind of like some weird stuff. I was like, this is interesting. What is she doing here? And I started to kind of investigate it and look into it. And yeah, she was working with this guy, Sensei Shi, and I started working with him as well. I've been a little busy, so I haven't really truly immersed myself into it, but I have enough knowledge of his system, and I added a little bit of my own, twist to it because I am a strength coach, and basically I believe there's something here. Okay, and what it is training your feet. Right now people who listen to any fitness stuff know that foot training has been kind of discussed in the past. Right, there's people out there like Nik Rod who's big on training the feet. He was Verdum and Dos Anjos' strength coach for a while.
Yeah, the
and,
Marinovich brothers.
Yep, they're
in
big
fact,
on
Larry, who you met on from the East Coast. He
Larry. What was his last name? Again?
Bogart.
Larry Bogart. Shout out to Larry.
Yeah, so they believe in the idea of training an athlete from the feet up.
Okay, so and there's also another crowd of people who think that spreading the toes is the big deal. There's many different systems in training the feet, right? And it never really jived with me until I started working with Sensei Shi, because his system is very basic, and the most important thing is he explains it in a way that makes sense to me. And I'm going to try to explain it to everybody, and I'm going to try to explain it to you, Jim. I explained it yesterday in the class, but it was very brief because we had a large class. I didn't want to bore people. But so what it is that what his concept is that everything begins with the feet, right? The pillars of your body, and also all of the force is generated from the feet, right? So a lot of people, I'll just start like this. When you watch high level athletes, he uses NBA players, but really it doesn't matter. It can be any high level athlete that is in a standing sport or any sport that you're required to generate force off the ground. You will look at their feet. They have morphed. They have changed in shape, and they have very specific characteristics. And the ones that I notice the most is that, look at NBA players. All of their toes are almost always permanently in a curl, and their toes are stuck together like this, right? And sometimes they have a bunion, but either way, their feet are very. It's almost like their feet are engaged when you look at them, even when they're resting. You know, Jason Tatum's a great example. If you look at his feet, it looks like there's like muscles and tendons are just it's so weird. But that's not, you know, he's not the only example. There's every high level athlete that I see, even students I have in jiu-jitsu class who are better movers and better athletes, they tend to have more of a toe curvature. Their little toes are more curled. Okay, and the idea here why is that if you have curled toes, it means that you're kind of gripping the ground, right? So what do you think is going to generate more force? Something that's grabbing the ground, or something that is, you know, like a pillow hitting the floor? You know, most people who are non-athletes, when their foot hits the floor, it's like stepping on a pillow. You know, it's very hard to generate force. Their toes don't curl. Their feet change shape. They lose their arch. They become flat. You know, I've suffered from this problem for a long time. You know, and I have flat feet, especially on my right foot. And so anyway, the idea is that when your feet become trained, right? Like for example, NBA players, they become, instead of a pillow, it's like you're jumping or pushing off of cement. Right? Like imagine your feet are two cement blocks. What's going to generate more force? If you're starting from two cement blocks as feet or two pillows?
Right, the cement
blocks, right?
Because it has that rigidness, that structural.
So when you see people like, you know, Curry and you know, Jason Tatum and Harden and these guys in the NBA, they're launching threes effortlessly. This is, you know, what Sensei Shi says a lot. He talks about like, how is it that these guys can play, you know, 40 minutes and launch these because you play basketball, Jim, right?
Yeah.
We play a little bit, you know, when we were at Muscle Farm. Me shooting a three is it's a long ways. You know, these guys are launching effortlessly, like almost like half court shots. You know, Lillard, like look at this shot. It's crazy, right? How can they generate so much force effortlessly? I mean, I throw up three of those threes and I'm fatigued. You know, my shoulder hurts. You know, joints hurt. Things are breaking down. They're shooting, you know, 20 of those a game and doing it night after night. The idea is that they have trained their body. It's probably not just in the feet. You know, it's not like a one thing, but it starts there, right? What is the common what is the lowest common denominator in all of these high level athletes? It's that they exhibit the same kind of sign. There's an anterior tibialis tendon protrusion. There's you know, the toes curl and the feet come together. A lot of times the big toe goes over the second toe because why? It's because your foot is squeezing. You know, it's generating that intrinsic you know, force here, and that is a stable base to push from, right? And it's great that, you know, I could talk about this, but how do you train it, right? So some of the things the first thing is if you do not have, you know, this is not me, this is all my sensei and the guy I'm working with. First of all, if your toes cannot bend, like flex, you know, the joints cannot flex and extend.
Make a fist with your toes.
Yeah, not a whole fist, but, you know, like the joints, you know, your toes have joints. Your toes aren't just, you know, one straight thing. You know, it's like your fingers. So when your fingers, you know, if people are watching the YouTube version, they can see me. If I bend my fingers, right, your toes are supposed to do this, right? A lot of people can't do this, and this is a problem, you know. You know, there's some ideas of glute activation, and you know, if you can't bend your toes, especially your big toe, there might be some fascial stuff with the glutes and whatnot. To me, that stuff is more theoretical, but I can only use my anecdotal experience or my data that I've done in the last like 6 months training athletes. You know, I work with Brianne. I train myself. I train other fighters, and we can kind of see if there's any difference, right? Maybe it takes more time. You know, he says it takes, you know, years to develop this, but just in myself, right? This is just a personal story, but it just, you know, it's almost like I have to pause. It's like mind blowing to me that this was, you know, the thing. So I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. You know, it's 15 plus years. I've had low back issues for probably 12 of those 15 years, low back issues. And it's always been on my right side, always. I did every single thing in the book, core strengthening, foam rolling. We did adjustment, everything. I even did weird stuff, acupuncture. I did it all, okay? Abdominal wall bracing. I mean, I could name 100 things. But the only thing that seems to have given me a relief, right, or a solution is training the feet. Is I realized that on my right foot, my toes did not bend or flex when I was engaging in any kind of power movement. So I figured this out by watching my bridge. So in jiu-jitsu, when you do a bridge, there's usually an asymmetrical bridge. You bridge to one side. There's one dominant foot, and then when you bridge the other side, the other foot's dominant, right?
So this is the part I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
So how does all this translate into jiu-jitsu?
Perfect.
Right.
When you bridge off of the ground, all right, you are essentially doing not the same movement, but the force is still coming from the feet, right? So even when you're bridging, would you rather have a stable surface like cement blocks, or would you rather have pillows?
Sand.
Yeah, sand is also good, So, anyway, this example, I watched some of my old drilling videos. If you go to my YouTube, I have this drilling video where it's all supine exercise and bridges, and I noticed, my right foot, my toes don't engage the ground. My big toe doesn't bend. My other toes don't engage. My foot basically is like, it looks like this. The toes are straight, and I have a flat pancaked foot. And I was like, there has to be some correlation in the fact that I've had this weird lower back pain forever, and I started doing these exercises, this training, and I don't want to say it's gone, because pain is a it's a sensory, it's bio, there's a lot, it's complicated.
Different episode.
But yeah, we have episodes on pain. But it's definitely, I would say, I don't like to use the word improve because it's a pretty big word. I would say it's changed. Things have changed. And I will use the word improve because it has improved. It's improved greatly, actually. And so I started bringing this training to jiu-jitsu because I just feel that I started watching guys at the highest level of jiu-jitsu, and they exhibit the same signs as it's even easier to tell because with jiu-jitsu you're always barefoot. So I like to use Nik Rod as an example. We know Nik Rod is a good guy. Whenever you see this guy shooting for a takedown, watch his feet. His toes curl. His toes are permanently in like a curl like this, actually. And the guy has endless cardio. He has probably one of the most powerful guys in jiu-jitsu, right? Why is it that he has this endless cardio and he's so powerful? I mean, obviously he's well-trained. He works out a lot. He trains hard. But I think a lot of it has to do with efficiency. When you, just like I said, how do these basketball players survive launching, 23s in a game night after night, running up and down the court? It's the same reason why Nik Rod can shoot, 40 times in a day at ADCC. I watched him do things that were unbelievable. Mm-hmm. He would win a match, 30-minute match, then go to the back and start drilling, and it's like, how does this guy have this much energy? and a lot of it, people will say, oh, it's his genetics, it's cardio, he's VO2 max. Maybe.
Sure.
Maybe it's efficiency. Maybe when he moves to do a penetration shot, he's doing it from a stable surface, so he's efficient. He's not wasting energy. Other muscles aren't, taking over. Whereas when I shoot a penetration, maybe my feet aren't quite as trained. It creates a cascading effect. My shot might equal 4 of his shots. That way he can shoot, 4 times more than me and still have the same energy, same efficiency. His movement is better, And generally from what I see, people who can move, at least in jiu-jitsu, at least from my students, who can invert, who can, have good guards, they have more curled toes, And I noticed this mainly from spider guard. Watch any good spider guard player. If their toes are not curled like hands gripping on you, they probably don't have a great spider guard. I've watched a lot of spider guard players, and this is, again, observational data, experimental, but it's just what I've seen. So let's go over some of the stuff we did yesterday.
Yeah.
So first, we did we took a
ball
little
roll.
spiky ball and we rolled out the arch, right? So that's one of the first things that I was taught to do is to just get some feeling, you know.
No, lacrosse ball will work as well. Yeah,
spiky ball probably best, but you know,
Okay.
they're cheap. You know, I
Okay.
think there's a couple on Amazon. You know, spiky lacrosse ball, basically. First, you do that. You know, 1 or 2 minutes per side, just to get that feeling. You know, so a lot of people they don't know what their arch even feels like, right? Then, what we did was these are super basic towel curls. So people think about towel curls with the feet, right? But the thing is, the way that Sensei Shi does them is slightly different, and I think his way of doing it actually is the I guess the I think the
Optimal.
optimal. You're right. Where he elevates the heel. Okay, what does that do? When you elevate the heel, when you're doing 1 foot towel curls, what happens is it allows you to press the ball of your foot in with much more force. And it also allows you to keep that ball contacted onto the ground, which you must, right? And I describe the ball of your foot as right below your second toe. Okay, that just put a little marker on that area and always push that part in, right? So as you push that ball of the foot in, you curl all of your toes, including your big toe, and you kind of make you create what a lot of these NBA players and these high level athletes are doing naturally, right? So what we call gifted genetically, a lot of times it's just these guys are just super trained and they've adapted. We normal humans maybe weren't in the right environment, you know, maybe we weren't barefoot when we were kids at the right times, you know, this is just there's a who knows, it's so complex we don't need to know, right? But when you go to the highest level and all these people exhibit the same characteristics, like physical traits, you can't just discount that anymore, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. That's all we. And then so after we did those 2 exercises, right? We did the rolling, and then we did the towel curls. We did about 3 sets of 50 on each foot. I said that some of you guys might have sore toes. Did you, Jim?
I did not, but
Okay.
I will say I've done the
You've done this before.
the towel curl. Yeah. But I didn't. What was new to me was that the change of the angle,
Right.
making sure the
Making the
heel was
elevation.
elevated
Yeah.
and the ball of my foot was planted.
Right.
Because and we did it from a standing position. Normally I've done it from a chair,
Yeah.
and I just essentially
You
just
can
rolled
do
up
it
a
from
towel.
the chair, but then you just elevate your heel again.
Right,
You can
right.
still do that.
That change in technique. Although now that I'm thinking, what we're talking about it, yeah, you know what? My left foot is just a little sore, not much. My right, not so much. But it was more challenging, and it did feel like, whoa. I mean, it is work in the first place, but adding that
Yeah,
ball, the foot
elevation.
pressure,
Yeah,
and
that
the elevation,
pressure's everything.
it's a different exercise when
different
you do
thing.
that. Yeah.
So I think that not I think this is what it is. It's just once you've done that, that towel curl is so important. The elevated towel curl is so important because it teaches you how to create that short foot that we need to almost permanently engage. Where the high level athletes they're subconsciously engaging this.
Right,
When they
right.
generate force, they do it subconsciously.
Right.
We need to train ourselves, and this is what Sensei Shi says it could take years. Somebody like me who's had a flat foot for 35 years of their life. This is takes time, right? But to me, that's very exciting because it's like you might be able to unlock something that you hadn't been able to unlock before. Maybe people always talk about I want to dunk, so you got to start squatting, right? Maybe they need to work on work on their feet. Maybe that it starts there. So all right. Then after those exercises, most of the exercises that I'm at, I'm like level 1 in this, right? I'm white belt at this so far. Maybe like a 2-stripe white. Then we started doing, what did we do, Jim?
We did some leg, some
Hops.
like, some
Plyometrics,
hops.
basically. Plyometrics. So what the idea is, when you're able to do that short foot with an elevation and keep that, now you've created that cement block, right? So you jump side to side. We start off with 2 feet, and then we moved on to 1 foot. And what it is it's absorbing force and trying to keep your feet from changing shape, trying to keep your heel from dropping, keep your arch from collapsing. And you'll notice that the best athletes, when they jump, their heel or not their arch, their foot does not change shape. They're jumping on cement blocks. When you see somebody who's not the greatest athlete, leaking force, leaking energy, their feet will collapse. So think about that. If I jump on a pillow, right, at a certain point, let's say pillows are on my feet, right? At a certain point, I'm going to get pretty fatigued very soon because there's just the transfer of energy. You can't transfer.
That's
properly.
a great analogy, yeah.
You can't transfer the energy. So to get the same height of a jump, I need to really, really use muscles.
Yeah, whether you're doing that or I mean, that's why running the sand dunes and running in sand is so hard, right?
Yeah.
Because that resistance, that counter resistance.
It's really just instability, right? Try to jump. Don't use a spring bed, obviously, because there's a spring. But like if you have one of those beds that those beds in a box, like a
memory foam mattress,
Casper or something.
Okay,
that they don't have spring, right? If you have that kind of mattress, step on it right now and try to jump as high as you can. Okay, I guarantee you ain't jumping much.
Yeah, you're not going to jump as high as if it was from a hardwood floor.
Yeah, hardwood floor, or if it's concrete floor, you're going to actually be able to produce that force.
Right.
Okay, so now just take away that thing, the bed or the floor, and then just pretend your feet now also have the same properties that transfer force, and they do. It's not just the feet. It's probably way more advanced than that. It's probably in your hands. There's certain things that I haven't really even delved into, like fascia and stuff, and fascia's a complex thing. It's a controversial subject, but these are things that I care less about. The pure science. I care about the science a lot, but I care more about the practical value and
the result.
The results, exactly. If something, let's say we can't prove it, there's no evidence for it now, but if I'm using it and it's working and I have a small sample size and it's working for me, my opinion has changed over the years. I will probably keep rolling with it because this is something that, if you ask me for randomized controlled trials, I'm going to be like, I don't think they exist. We haven't, this isn't something like this guy, I think, is on the cutting edge, and when you're on the edge of the art, there's no randomized control trials. This is like,
because those problems haven't caught up yet. Those lab tests haven't caught up to the theory. I guess.
I mean, we're just today figuring out like some of the bodybuilders, the stuff that they were doing in like the 70s. It's 2020, and we're validating some of that stuff. It's 50 years, so you do have to have some respect for science. But there are certain things, if you're on the cutting edge, you're kind of just flailing around and just in that stuff, and then you come out, and then you will figure it out, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing with this stuff. This episode is kind of like just describing what we're working on, but it's experimental, And so if anybody wants to try this,
hit you up.
Yeah, hit me up. Hit up Sensei Shi, Secrets of Athleticism. You can look up at the exercises. Elevated towel curl, I'm sure it's out there. Foam rolling the foot's very easy, and then plyometrics. Plyometrics. I used to believe that plyometrics was more about developing kind of like a full body thing, but really to me now, I think plyometrics is more beneficial on training just the feet. I think that's that. So I think we covered most of that. Again, this is I'm going to be learning more about it and just trying, but this is one of these things where just look. Look at the feet of NBA players. Look at the feet of rock climbers. Look at the feet of high level athletes, and it kind of is chicken before the egg. I don't know, but
logically it makes sense. I mean, because what is the indirect contact to whatever the plane surface is, whether it's the face of a mountainside if you're a rock climber, or the turf of a field if you're a football player. If it's the mats on at ADCC, it starts off with the feet. Right. And then the legs. And then we know how important leg day is, right? Mm-hmm. Do you even squat, bro? Do you squat out there? So it's like we're skipping that step with the foot, right?
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of different like theories, right? There's people that think, that people think that bunions are like terrible, and there's some people that think that bunions is an effect of a shoe, and it's actually a good thing because that means you're generating the force. Probably, you could debate this forever. I always tell people, this is one of these things where it's the perfect example to say this is sometimes when you go and you look for these solutions, right? You can't. Like, I've been looking for a solution to fix my right side lower back pain forever, and this is one of these things where I wasn't looking for a solution. This is like, it just kind of popped up, and this is like one of my philosophies is that if you have a problem and you keep looking for the solution, you almost are not going to find
You're
the
bound to
solution.
miss it.
Yeah, you need to look within the problem, right? So I never looked within the problem, and I think the problem was something that I needed to figure out on my own. And I could go to every expert in the world, and they could give me all these prescriptions and whatnot, and it just never worked. And this is just a philosophy I have, right? When you go there and when you go in and you really experiment on yourself, and then you find a solution, that solution is usually permanent, And so, I really haven't had the degree of low back pain that I've had in years, And so I feel great. So this is, again, that's it. So give it a shot, try it out. Let me know what you think. Follow Zhang Wei Li is the girl in the UFC. I mean, a lot of that stuff is on her page. A lot of stuff that I think he Sensei she charges a lot of money for is kind of briefly shown in her Instagram. So you see all the stuff with her with medicine balls and static holds and jumping side to side. It's all in there.
And look at her performance too. She's a very powerful athlete.
Yeah, she put the beating on Joanna, and if she beats Rose here, I might have to buy the full package. I don't know.
All right. Well, there it is. So at Coach BZ on Instagram, hit him up if you have any questions about this, because I'll tell you what, from my point of view, I believe in this stuff. Logically,
we've only done it one day, and Jim's a believer. I should start the cult tonight.
Well, no, but like I said, again, shout out to Larry Bogart.
Larry.
If you want to hit him up and ask him about some stuff, he's been working with foot exercises for a while now. But logically, to me, it just makes sense. But he's at combat_lab. So at combat_lab, I believe is him. And if you forget all about it, you hit me up at Jiu-Jitsu Mag. I'll remind you where to go to look
I
for
don't
these
do
answers.
this enough, Jim, but please follow and subscribe to the YouTube, the RSS feed, and my Patreon.
And that's our YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Listen to this man. He
Yeah,
has a podcast for a reason.
The Jiu-Jitsu Mag YouTube.
Right.
Yeah, we need to have more. Our 300 views needs to be 500.
Yeah.
We're just moving up 200 at a time.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's
go. So that's it.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you, everyone, for being with us, our guest, and Coach. Once again, thank you, and thanks for the workout. Looking forward to the next one tomorrow.
Yep.
Mañana.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care.